Ready. Thank you so much to all our viewers live from across the loving planet Earth. I am your host, Maximo. As always, welcome to the show, man. I'm just vibing tonight, man. I'm on a mention, on a feel, on a movement, and a moment on this Wednesday night. We are live, folks. If you are watching VOD Pod Media, dare I say butterscotch? Can that be our keyword? Dare I say, letting folks in. We got spoilers tonight, but we having a great night. We just vibing out here. Every night we come to the table, man, we strive to have brilliant, amazing, real, raw conversations with some of the dopest people around. And we don't really have an agenda per se. A lot of people ask me, hey, Maximo, what's your show about? It ain't about nothing but inspiring people and having good, healthy conversation at the table, man. I see a lot of ugliness in the social media space. Right now, I see a lot of people dogging my boy Canelo because he took an L, but the next day he bounced back. Because guess what? I got respect for Canelo. So if you're out there dogging him, know that he takes chances. He took a chance to go move up, and so he did, and he took a loss. Did he get knocked out? No, but he's a warrior. He is a warrior, a true warrior, and he'll be back. So if you got something to say about Canelo, please drop it in the comments. Make sure you're liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing to VOD Pod Media as always. And I'm here with my guy, Amzi, which we really don't know each other too well.
Right.
But we got to vibe in the studio. So for those folks that don't know, VOD Pod Media is about to just turn it up.
Yes.
We about to go spam on everybody.
Absolutely.
You about to see something you ain't never seen before on this channel, folks. So make sure you are getting the goods, getting everything together, because we about to take it to another level. Amzi and I were in the studio here messing around. We started talking about all sorts of things, man. We started talking about his favorite top five of the 90s for the NBA. NBA playoffs are happening right now. We started talking about his upbringing in Texas. He says he considers himself a Texas boy, and his love for social justice. And so we want to talk about a lot of things. One of the questions I got in my DMs recently was like, hey, Maximo, you got a voice, you got a platform. Why aren't you talking about this Roe v. Wade stuff? And I'm like, look, I was just waiting for the right time. And here we are. So as you probably mentioned, nobody should be telling any women what to do with their bodies, because no one tells me what to do with my body.
Right.
We come off a highly charged season of COVID where people didn't want to be told to wear a mask. People didn't want to be told to take a vaccine, which I guess is their prerogative. Now, I would think you would carry that same thought pattern over to women and what they decide to do with their bodies with regards to sexual health, reproductive rights, and just bodily autonomy. But man, do I got to spell it out for some people watching this? Nobody should be telling women what to do. Hands off their bodies, period. What you got? What you think about this, man?
Yeah, it's very deep. It is funny. Just there was like a something going on today, and as far as a vote and all these things like that, and just thinking about it, it's just kind of interesting because it was in the 70s, but they had all this time to really codify that into like to be on the books, but now fast forward to today, now it's this big thing. I just kind of think that it's a lot deeper. It's way deeper than just like, hey, let's completely ban this thing called abortion, right?
Yeah.
And then we were talking about it last night, and to me I think it boils down to something simple as powers in numbers and maintaining power, maintaining the traditional status quo of this country. It's to me it's not a simple thing to talk about, but it's as simple as we know what group is doing and completing most abortions, and it's not what everybody may think. As far as a number thing, it's more white women, and you can't just be like, hey, I want white women to just not do an abortion. So it's like totality thing, all groups, like, hey, no abortions for anybody. Obviously, that's the thing, right? So when you think about the numbers game and the country, and the minority being the majority, the year 2043, it's literally terrifying to certain groups in this country to think about it. And I think, outside of it being like a numbers game, I don't know. I feel like when I have conversations with certain people, it's a fear thing. It's just like fear. It's just scared of everything. You know what I'm saying? And that's what drives the political spectrum is fear, obviously. And when you think about like, hey, what will happen in the future if they take control? Will they do the same thing to us? And that's just so far from the truth. It's just, it'll be just a more just society.
Yeah. We talk about it all the time. I said it a couple of weeks ago, particularly from the brown community. I think you and I are pretty good representatives of the black and brown community. Would you say?
Yes.
I would say so, right? Yeah. I mean, we ain't speaking out for 54 million people in this country, but
right.
we could talk for a few million, maybe.
maybe
a few million would disagree or agree, who knows? But I'm going to go ahead and put it out there, and I said this before a few weeks ago. Look, most brown people in this country love white people. Because we get knocked when we talk about social justice, when we talk about equality, when we talk about racism, that we dislike white people. That's not the case, man. We love white people.
Yeah.
I have mentioned, and I've said it before on this show, that most brown people love white people so much they wish they were white. Okay. Now, with that being said, when we talk about this Roe v. Wade stuff, look, I'm talking about white women too.
Yeah.
Hands off white women.
Everybody.
You know what I'm saying? Hands off black women, hands off brown women, hands off all the women, period. Don't touch. Why are we messing with women, period? Correct. Why are we trying to take away women's rights? And when we're talking about equality, which I think if you are pro-social justice, we talking equality here.
Yeah.
That's the conversation that's at the table right here. So,
I agree.
Folks, I mean, listen, whatever you're doing, I hope you writing your senators, you're out there marching in the streets. You're out there doing what you need to do. You're making your voice heard because the Supreme Court is set for a vote, if I'm not mistaken, on I don't know if it's in Texas or where it is, regarding an abortion law somewhere right now.
Yes.
Now, what we're talking about are the Texas or the actual Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, leaked a draft of a memo with their plans to repeal Roe v. Wade.
Yes.
And it's like, I think you talked about that was their main mission. That was like their golden goose.
Yes. I mean, because it's just, I mean, I know there's some that feel like, oh, this is just a start. If they can do this, they can do that. You know what I mean? Which, my thing is like there's a generation. There's going to be pending whatever happens. There's going to be a generation of women that may. From like what you've been hearing, that would have less rights than just thinking about that, like they would have less rights than generations of the previous generations. Well, for the last 40 years, just thinking about that is kind of crazy. I mean, it's not crazy, but it's just something that. What was crazy to me? I'm sorry. Let me go back.
Go
ahead. I saw a couple of of course, commercials. From the Midas groups and these other groups that produce these really truthful commercials about whether they be political members or judges or anything, and they kind of showed all these judges that were like just downplaying the fact that like, hey, Roe v. Wade is Roe v. Wade. You know what I'm saying? When they were getting in, what is the thing that's called when they're sitting down? And the hearing, their hearings, they're like, hey, Roe v. Wade is Roe v. Wade, all of them leading up until to now. And then we all knew what the decision was going to be, having a more like conservative Supreme Court scenario. But it's just wild to think, man, like, this is what it is. But again, when it comes to the numbers game, to me, I don't know if people want to go that deep on it, but to me, that's immensely what it's about here. So when you think about like a child, being born, right, and it's just when we walk outside, we're kind of inundated with whiteness. I mean, it just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? We walk outside, it's like boom, like everything, this commercials, that. So it's like a thing. So it's just easier when you think about like school. I know we're not talking about that right now, but when you think about school and then how it's just like a like we're we mastered like other people's history. You know what I'm saying? Like when it relates to the school system. I know I'm kind of moving, but it all connects to like raising Americans. You know what I'm saying? Like the things that's taught, and it's just like this beacon, which it is some truth to that. But I just think when it comes to like, hey, it's easier to, and this is deep. I don't even want to go that route right there. But I'm just thinking about how it is raising an American in comparison to the groups that's, because of the numbers that it's more the women that's doing the most of the abortions, and them raising an American. It's just easy. This is crazy, not crazy, but this is polarizing. It's easier to mold like certain groups in America. I'm gonna just say it that way. You know what I mean? Like it's just easier to mold with the things that are taught in school. The view of America, the American flag. It's just easier to mold certain groups to be certain ways. Yeah, I tried to be really politically correct with that. I'm sorry, but
well, yeah. I mean, people don't want nobody asking no questions.
Yeah,
and that's the tough aspect of being a good citizen, right? If we gonna play their game, right? Let's be a good citizen. Let's be a good American. Well, I was always taught, if we want to talk about the quote unquote founders of this country, and I use that term loosely, I think it was it James Madison that said dissension is the greatest form of patriotism? Because, I mean, listen, last night we were talking about, shootings of unarmed black men.
Yeah.
And how disturbing is it when every week, every month, we see another video of a lethal shooting of an unarmed black man. And it's like, man, we're just so accustomed to that. I remember a few years ago, man, I was just accustomed to seeing school shootings.
Yeah.
You see these mass shootings at churches, at schools, all over the place, man. It's like, oh, that's just the standard. That's just the norm, right? How wild is that we're living in a society where these things are so standard. Now, think about before the mainstream birth of camera phones. These things were happening all along. And then the narrative was whatever they told us, right? Because we weren't there, right? We didn't see it.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of wild too when you really kind of sit back and think about it. Like, I mean, I think the reason why I'm this way, and when I'm thinking about society as a whole, is it's kind of like we're always teetering on like this wildly, progressive, generational change type society that we could be, but it's not enough money in that vision. You know what I mean? It's not like when you think about America and capitalism, it's not a lot of money in keeping people healthy. It's not a lot of money in that keeping like for profit prison systems and the pipeline that's created, and it's just no money in that. So I mean, that's the thing. It's an immense battle. But that's the way I am, because I like to call them small W's. Like I just want to see these small wins, whether it's somebody being held accountable on the highest level, in this country. You know what I'm saying? I just want to see. I don't want to say I want to see heads roll, but I just want to see people that otherwise, like if another group does it, it's completely over. They're obliterated on sight.
Absolutely.
Versus.
Well, listen, I don't think it's wrong to ask for a little accountability.
Right.
This is supposed to be the land of the free, home of the brave. Well, Wait a minute. We just talked about the United States is the highest population of incarcerated people worldwide.
Wow.
How is that the land of the free?
Right.
Home of the brave? I mean, come on. We talked about, and again, we can talk about police here, right? I mean, this isn't an anti-police segment here. Right. This isn't a pro-police segment. But if we can't talk about what's going on here, if people start getting offended, as soon as you mention the police, we are doomed.
Right.
We are even more damned than we think we are in this country. Right. If we can't have an honest conversation about anyone, about the justice system with the judges, in the court system, whether it be the police and law enforcement or the prison systems, which we know are all messed up. I mean, we don't want to talk about what's happening inside these prison walls.
Wow.
We don't want to talk about what's happening in there because ain't no camera phones in there. Well, that's debatable if there's camera phones in there, but there's a lot of stuff happening inside those prison walls that people would be appalled under. And a lot of people in this country would say, oh, they deserve it.
Wow.
Right? Because they believe in punitive damages and punitive, incarceration and a quote unquote form of rehabilitation, which we know there's no rehabilitation. We're getting carried away. But the point is, it shouldn't be too much to ask for a little justice in this country, for a little equality with regards to women, people of color, LGBTQIA community. Everyone needs to get a little bit of respect. And we're going backwards. This country's at a perpetual state of war with one another.
Yes.
United States, it should be the divided states. And I wish it wasn't that way. I'm not asserting that when I say that. I'm not reinforcing it. I wish it was different. Now, what can we do, right? Because Guylan over here, find Guylan at Lovable Bear. Twitter, his Twitter handle, lovablebear.com. He'll tell us, well, what are we doing about it? Right? Which is true, right? If we're leaders, if we're people in the community, if we're, the ones that are outspoken, if people are following us, if we have children and we have, people in our circles that, in our spheres of influence that liken what we say to something that they would do, what are we doing about it? I mean, I think that it doesn't hurt to talk about these things because some people don't want to talk about them, period. And then you talk about, some of these things and people just start getting upset. Mm-hmm. I had a guy today I ran across. He had a shirt with a big Texas, the state of Texas. And in the middle was an AK-47. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I went up to him and I said, hey, man, be careful with that shirt, man. You're going to scare some people. Okay. And he says, hey, you should see my other shirt. It says, thank Biden for gas prices and groceries, something like that. Or if you voted for Biden, you owe me gas money and grocery money. I said, wow, why does it got to be that way?
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, obviously, I'm a pro, of course, freedom of speech. I'm not an absolutist, meaning like I feel like, yeah, freedom of speech, but there should be, again, little things like accountability. Or if somebody says, the normal things, let me just stop right there. Hold on.
Come on, man. Bring it now. Don't be afraid.
No. So, yes, freedom of speech, but with consequences. Not like your life is ruined consequences, but like, I want people to be able, freedom of speech is like it's a serious thing, but it's kind of like not like a thin line on it, but like I would never want anybody to. I would never want that gentleman that you encounter to be afraid to wear that shirt.
Yeah, he can wear that shirt. I was joking with him. We have a
Right.
relationship. It wasn't like I was picking on him. We mess around with each other, just have some fun. He wasn't upset about it.
But even say another situation, like even if it's something like say derogatory, I mean, I wouldn't want that person to not be able to wear that shirt, right? But I just think there should be something. I'm not an absolutist. There's certain things that is okay. Maybe somebody being a dickhead, and then the next level, it's another level, that people maybe should be held accountable. It's especially in certain. I'm talking about in certain positions. Now, Second Amendment as well. Like there's no quorum with that, but at all for me. One of the crazy things is you were kind of talking about it earlier. Is I was watching this interview today with Mark Lamont Hill on the Breakfast Club, and just dramatically re-evaluating and realizing like the justice and criminal system. Like to me, I like to separate non-violent and then violent crimes. Mm-hmm. Like when it gets there, because there's this thing that when you think about overly policed communities, mm-hmm. a lot of times it's just acts. They're just acts happening, and people, because there's people here that in this country that has lost their life for jaywalking or a traffic ticket or selling loose cigarettes. Like, so some of these things are just acts until they're turned into a crime or some type of. There's a process, is what I'm saying.
Sure.
And some people are not afforded to that. That process here that was deemed to be, straight up constitutional. You know what I mean? So it's just like that. One of the talking points. This is crazy, right? So say if something happens to a family member. And he was asked, Mark Lamont Hill was asking DJ Envy on the interview, like, hey, if somebody did something to your family member, like whether they died or something that was extreme violence, would you want them to be executed? You know what I'm saying? And it was a. I mean, I really hope everybody can like check out this interview that they had, because it's a wild way to think about the criminal justice system. But he went as far as wanting to, and I understand where he was going, but it's gonna sound crazy what I'm about to utter. But he was saying Mark Lamont Hill wanted to completely abolish the police. Now I'm not, but it's a definition thing that I implore everybody to look into. I'm not saying I'm in agreement with that, but when he was explaining it and what the actual definition of abolishing something is, like, it's just reimagining it in its totality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I think right now, this is the system and the culture is it's awry. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Like there's no way to hem this back in at all because of the protections that are in place. Just different elements that are in place. I mean, it is just the videos that we see of somebody like in Oklahoma, or the other one that was in what was it?
Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Grand Rapids. I mean, those are just some of the more recent ones. It's just like there's no bringing that back in, man.
How many have we seen? I mean, let's think about it. I mean, there's a list probably that's as long as this table about all the hundreds of unarmed black men that were shot, killed, beaten to death, thrown into the back of the paddy wagon, all that stuff, man. It's pretty sad. Now, people think, wow, it's a one-off situation. No, it's not one-off. We got hundreds and thousands of cases that have been documented, that we've seen on video, come to life, and little to no justice has happened. I mean, and that's the thing. You've got to reimagine what justice means. What does justice mean? Does it mean, we give some people some money and then we say, hey, move on with your life? That's not real justice, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's really drastic, because there's groups of people saying, like, hey, if somebody like gets caught, smoking weed or something like that, you know what I mean? A non-violent crime. Mm-hmm. Some people think like, well, they did it, throw them away. You know what I mean? Or people may not have enough money to really afford going through the justice system, and that turns into like just a train wreck of a life that's like, I'm not like, I really would like to really sit down with somebody one day and just talk about separating, not separating in the sense, except non-violent and violent crimes, because I don't even know what the percentage of people that are in prison of any ethnicity that would be like in federal penitentiary or somewhere due to non-violent crimes, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's got to be some way to just drastically reimagine that part of the justice system as well.
Let's talk about violence, quickly if we can, because I find that in some circles, that in areas where we grew up, where we come from, men of color not often, but sometimes seek violence as a way and method of solving problems. If we can't talk it out, if you got a problem, you got a disagreement, we're going to have to slug it out. Or if you do X, Y, Z, that's going to push me to do A, B, C. I've seen that in multiple. It's like, oh, we can't figure it out, let's just go fight. Or that's the first resolution, to solve problems. And I think it's partially because of, our upbringing, partially because of, our environments and how we solve problems. Case in point, look at this Will Smith, Chris Rock thing. These guys at the highest level, this brother was running his mouth, said something this guy didn't like. He eventually got up and used violence. And I saw a lot of people on Twitter and people talking as it occurred. and said, what did you want Will to do? Did you want him to, handle this after the show? Did you want him to, go up there and say something in his ear and then walk back down? Or should he just said, hey, from the pulpit saying, hey, keep my wife's name out your mouth? Did he have to smack the brother? Could he have punched him? What does a smack mean in comparison to a punch? Because there were a lot of people calling for Will Smith's arrest that night. Mm-hmm. And there would have been another black brother caught up in the criminal justice system.
For assault, yeah. I mean, so that
for assault, which is violence.
Right. So
I don't want to beat the Will Smith thing to death, but there's still a lot of fallout that's happening to Will Smith because of this.
Of course.
His shows are being removed from Netflix. I mean, he's losing some deals.
Yeah.
He's banned from the Academy Awards for 8 years, something like that.
Right. And all that being said, he lost, and he's still going to be kind of well off.
He's paying a price, but he's going to be all right.
He's going to be all right. So to correlate that to people that may be, in lower economic environments, and them having a dispute, to me, it's always been like a proximity thing. And I would like to go a little bit deeper too, because when I think about, lower economic areas or with fewer opportunities, to me, like, I know there's always the pull you got to pull yourself out the bootstraps and all that stuff, and but to me, there's a sense of making a group whole. Over history, you've seen groups get certain things for certain vile things happening, from governments, in aiding that. So to me, I was having this conversation regarding the justice system a while back, and it was like the blame. There's not a great understanding of the justice system, and I'm gonna fast forward, but there's not a great understanding with some in the Black and brown community of the justice system, so they really get the bad end of the deal, even though it may be something they didn't do, or it was a very, 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 very low act or crime, one would say. So the person was like, them not knowing that that's their fault. You know what I mean? Even though it was nonviolent, from, I don't know, jaywalking or running a red light and fucking hitting a fire extinguisher or something like that. So to me, I was like, man, in my head, I'm like, what do you want? What do you want to happen? Like Professor Xavier to enter all of our minds and be like, hey, don't do this or don't. So to me, it's like a sense of like, yes, I hear what everybody's saying as far as the communities and things that are happening in these communities, but to me, I still feel like it's incumbent on local municipalities and governments to aid with that. You know what I'm saying? I really do. And one would be like, well, because there's the conversations happen like, well, I mean, we think the government is giving too much. Like, no, man, this is because I think about stuff like environmental racism as well, which is a conversation that just literally never happens.
No, it doesn't. You
know what I'm saying? When you think, like, there's places all across the country that you will notice that in the lower income areas of the town, you'll notice all the factories, all the smog, all the waste dump there, obviously, you know what I'm saying? And which in reality has devastating health implications and things of that nature. I mean, everybody know got asthma, or lead in water. These things have immense this is detrimental to early childhood development. Mm-hmm. I mean, and of course you don't really hear that a lot, but I mean, just drive anywhere. I mean, we got places in the South called Cancer Alley. There's stats showing an unbelievable rate of just cancer in people of color, just due to throw the factory on their side of the town, or throw this big pile of rubber in the middle of their community and just fucking just leave it there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, this is a legit thing, So now, and to kind of bring it back in to, maybe the violence, because it's a proximity thing because
Yeah.
you know I've lived in small towns like Bryan, Texas, or you know Brady, Texas, and those guys are fighting just as much. You know what I'm saying? And they really drive around with guns in their car and weapons and shit in their car. You know what I'm saying? These guys. So and these, you know, so it's just like a, you know, these types of things. It happens, but where do we go from here? Is just like, hey, I mean, government getting involved in as far as like these different opportunities, man.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The government needs to back off, but the government won't because they've got ulterior motives, whether it's driven by money, special interests. I mean, who the hell knows, man? But we need less laws, in my opinion, rather than more. And so, and I don't know what we're going to do with some of this stuff, man. One of the other things about it is, you know, it's hard to live in a country where people don't love you. You know, listen, we can make this work if I can look at my brother, the person next to me, the community member, the neighbor, you know, whoever, from a sense of love. You know, why does it got to be anything else in that? You know what I'm saying? Like, that may seem oversimplified, but man, we really got to get away from all this animosity, all of this hate, all of this prejudice. You know, we can make this thing work, man. You know, and I think, you know, I don't want to be over sweeping with that generalization because we have made some progress, right? There is some progress that's made with race relations, you know, with you know, LGBTQ rights, things of that nature. But we see every now and then you got these setbacks and things that pull us back, you know. And so, you know, as they say, it takes a lot to build something up, but it takes just a few moments to tear it down, you know?
No, I agree. And I don't think it was like a simplification. It just literally boils down to capitalism and it not be, excuse me. From like a, say, I'm gonna just break it down to like a local level, say like your neighbor, you know, representing something that you drastically disagree with, is one thing, right? You know, and you never have to talk to that person ever. Excuse me. But when you think about it on like the thought psyche of America is in that regards, the polarization is there embedded, you know. Cause like, yeah, like I cannot agree with somebody at all, but me and that person can totally, you know, whether we not cross paths, not talk, or just agree to disagree. But when the country is like the economic structure of capitalism, it forces like the exploitation of a group of people, whatever that group is. That's just it. There's no. But no, it's like it forces the exploitation of groups, you know, whatever those groups may be. So I think like, and that's the problem. And there's no, and I say that to say that there's no money involved. From a capitalist perspective, there's no money involved in people getting along that way.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It just is, and that's. And us, say me and the neighbor that may disagree on things, we have nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not saying that me personally, and I don't know about that person, but me personally, I'm not involved in wanting to see a change. But like, there's just from that perspective, there's no money involved in that one. Like, for example, I'm about to sidebar, a huge sidebar, but I remember seeing one time, I think it was like. And again, I have no qualm against these people, but I know what they are. You know, I think it was like Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer, one of them, right? You know, and sure they're on the Democratic side, and they were like, "Yo, I'm a capitalist." You know what I'm saying? And of course of course, you don't have to tell me that. You know what I'm saying? You know, I know what it is on both sides, but that's just what it is. They're in bed with certain people that you know. Have a lot of say because they have the influence and wealth in this country.
Yeah, and I'm not anti-capitalist all the way.
Yeah.
Personally. Now, someone's going to be watching this that works in business and be all upset.
I should have said dirty capitalism.
Yeah, exactly. Capitalism in the wrong hands is bad. But let's take a look at what we're looking at right now. A 40-year high of inflation that really comes down to what? How about corporate greed? Yeah. Now, of course, someone's watching this that will throw themselves in front of a moving train to defend a CEO and billionaire. Elon Musk, right? Damn. Like, how could he? How could Maximo talk about Elon Musk? You don't know this guy, okay? Right. And you're struggling right now, too. But we don't know any other way, man. Our people are just looking for the next day, the next meal, the next, whatever it may be. And that's not to say everybody is. But if we look at the most disadvantaged, the most impoverished, man, people are just looking to get by, man. People just looking to get by. I think a lot of my family members, man, that are, struggling, medical bills, right? Because you had something come up, and there's how you make your money right there. Let's talk about the American healthcare system or the lack thereof. Right. Because my goodness, man, when you talk about just ways to make money, I mean, man, just charge these people prescription, give them this, let's get them hooked. I mean, gosh, you look at these commercials for prescription medication, the side effects are worse than the actual illness.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what?
When it comes to see, every industry that we could literally talk about today has like a historic linear that if you go back in time, if we were in a time machine, it goes to an era, man. Like whether it be health, just follow it back, you will see just straight nefarious types of shit that was going on within the healthcare system. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I mean, healthcare is good, right? I mean, if it's in the right hands, it's really good because people do get sick. You take banking, you go back. I mean, you can go back to the 80s, with Reagan and see when the banks was like, we run the fucking country. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Hey, shut up, Reagan. We're talking.
I don't know if anybody's seen it. I watched that real quick. There was Reagan was like just straight elderly. He was mumbling some shit. And he was on Wall Street, and there was a big banker there right next to him.
The stock exchange.
Yeah, and he's on
I know exactly.
He speaks the shit up. But anyway, so just any food industry, I mean, agriculture, it has a past that people will be like, "Fuck, man!" Appalled. Like it's really wild. And healthcare, when I think of healthcare, man, it's to me, of course, I'm like, yo, it should be a right. Everybody should get healthcare. I mean.
If someone's going to be watching this and gets offended, how dare he say everyone gets health care? They didn't earn it in this country, but you should work for it.
But why would it never happen? Because there's no money in that. Obviously, keeping people sick and addicted to certain things, and even in the food. I mean, there's certain things that are like banned in our food. I mean, banned in other countries that we're finding in our food.
Yeah.
Even from plastics, like. They're finding like plastics in human blood now, just due to it's an inescapable material, So the healthcare system is one of the things that would be so dope for all Americans to experience, seriously.
Some thriving,
proper
living
healthcare.
In abundance, having healthy. How many
and
older
people can't
folks
see that? I don't understand.
How many older folks do we know that are just a threat of falling down? Right. I mean, I get nervous around some of my older family members. Like, okay, are they okay? Like, are they walking? Is this normal? Oh, I got hip problems or I got knee issues, and it's like they're getting ready to fall down any second here, and I'm like nervous. Do I got to catch them? One of the questions I have for all of our viewers tonight, and we appreciate all of our viewers, by the way. This is our 20th show right here at VodPod Media. 20 shows, man. 20 bills. Give us a dub. One of the questions I have for people, and if you're watching this, please comment. What are our inherent rights as Americans?
Man.
What do we actually deserve? So since you woke up this morning, what do you deserve? Do you deserve health care? Do you deserve a home over your head? Do you deserve to live in poverty? What does it mean? What do we want for our brothers and our sisters, right? What do we want for our family and our relatives? And when I say that, I mean everybody. I should look at you as my brother. I should look at the next person like what happens to you affects me. And if you hurt, I hurt. That's the sort of communal society that we should be living in. Now, we are far away from that, I know. But that would be a wish. That would be like if I had a perfect world, it would be etched in that sort of ethos. and integrity that I wish you well. Like, you should get everything that you want out of life. But I wonder what we deserve. You know, the mayor of San Antonio, Ron Nirenberg, he ran off a platform and a campaign slogan is the city that you deserve. And I always wondered that. Like, what do we deserve in the city? What do we deserve in the state? What do we deserve? Like, in inherent human rights, what do we deserve? Do we deserve access to clean water? As we talked about, Flint, Michigan probably still does not have clean water, and they are poisoning the people there. Do they deserve clean water? I mean, who's to say they do or they don't? I mean, because nobody's saying anything about the Flint water crisis anymore. I haven't seen any headlines on it. You know, it just is what it is. Out of sight, out of mind. We on to the next thing, because what makes money, right? The mainstream media, which Guy Allen will tell us we are. Maybe we are the mainstream media. You know, what makes money? Because that's where the stories and the headlines go with what makes money.
Yes.
You know, I wonder what we deserve, man. What do we deserve? Do we deserve access to clean air? Do we deserve access to air conditioning living in the South, right? I mean, think about that. Like, shouldn't people I mean, it gets hot in San Antonio. It gets hot in the South, man. Yeah. And not everybody has air conditioning. Now, I think about some of these families, you know, you a single mom, you got 3 kids at home and no air conditioning. Kids are 3, 7, and 9. Right. Man, them kids are going to tear up the house. You know, they live there living in just, I mean, sweat. Right.
And it's to think about this. Sometimes I think about that and I kind of go back into how this proclaimed living document came about. Like, when you think about like the Constitution and like, you know, I don't know, God-given rights, and we have to look to the humans who put the document together. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, to me, I would think one of these rights would be to have complete dominion over your own body, but that's not what we see, and that's not the case, or that's what's at stake now. You know what I mean? For women in this country. So it's a wild thing to think about. When you think about like the inception of this country, you know what I mean? And again, like these group of guys sitting around that, I don't know, maybe own a couple of humans or stuff like that when they're forming this document, you know, talking about rights, like, you know, pursuit of happiness and all this other shit, you know? So it's just one of those things, and that's why it's like, man, when I think about, I'm literal with this thing, right? So I don't own anything. I mean, and this to each his own, right? But I don't own anything with like the flag on it, you know.
The American flag,
right? Not because you know, it's not because I hate the country. It's just like, from what I always understood, that was like disrespectful. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, I'm literally respecting the flag, because it's not on like my socks, you know, it's not on my underwear, you know what I mean?
That bumper sticker on your car.
Yeah, it's like
people wear it every day, man.
I leave it to the places that it's supposed to be flown, you know, and you know, so and it's now, and that's just me thinking, but now to me sometimes it's almost like associated with ideology, you know what I mean? You know, and I don't know if I'm hitting a nerve with anybody that's tuning in here, but this is just me personally.
Hit the nerve too, by the way.
Like,
because people need to get uncomfortable. People need to listen and learn and open up to different ideas.
Right. I just sometimes, you know, when, like, for example, we can all equate it to this for some of us can, like, when you're watching TV on January 6th, right? And you, like, the place that they're storming has a flag being flown properly, but the flag at that moment was used as a weapon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to kill a cop.
Other American citizens, by the way, and a cop. You know what I mean? I'm just like, damn, like, you know what I'm saying? So when I see that, the psyche it's almost like affirmed in my mind, like, now, like, or when you see like a huge truck and with the flag in the back, you know what I'm saying? It's associated with something different. And I'm not saying everybody who flies has a big truck or flies a big flag in the back. It's a connection with something else other. Even though we're here in the country, it's a connection with some other ideology, and the connection is people in power know that, right? So they use that fear to their advantage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think everything is equated to fear. Oh, the other is taking over the country, or they're teaching my kids this in school, or I don't know, the big burly black guy's gonna fucking run in your house or take it. You know what I mean? It's just everything is associated with fear, and then I just that's one of the things that, like, when you're having a conversation with somebody, like, you get it's a level of exhaustion, like trying to like talk to people about it, like there is a space that's needed for these conversations, but trying to educate somebody on something that has this like it's us versus, even though we're both American citizens, it's like it's exhausting, man. Well, so that's why people are not having it no more.
Well, you're right, and talking about exhausting, yes, it is exhausting, but I got a little bit of stamina and I got a little bit of endurance that I've helped build up. And so I got thick skin too, and we in this for the long haul.
Yes.
And so if there is anybody watching this that may have views that are contradictory to what we're talking about, please comment, send us a DM. Let's talk. We want to bring you to the table. We will have you on at the table right here next week. And we will listen, and we will agree, we will disagree. Because one of the other things that you spoke about, Amzi, that I really appreciate is not having such absolute views. I can name a situation where I guarantee your views can be bent to think, oh, well, maybe that is an exception, or maybe there is something else out there, right? There is absolutely other ways out there. We can have you empathize with people in their circumstances, in their shoes, to see their point of view. And then, hey, maybe you're onto something. Maybe we can help you see a little bit differently. Now, for example, what would be more egregious here? Would it be killing a cop with the American flag at the Capitol on January 6th? Or would it be Colin Kaepernick taking a knee at an NFL football game when the national anthem was being sang? I would say, and this is going to make some people upset, that probably killing a cop is a little bit worse. But I could be wrong, right? Because I'm willing to bet that there's someone's going to tell me that Colin Kaepernick had no business kneeling on the football field that day. which again, I mean,
how many death deaths do you think Colin got?
Oh, yeah. He's still probably getting them.
I mean, it's just, and again, me honestly, when I see the NFL, when I, stretch out the flag, it's the democratization of like, and they have the planes fly over. Like, me personally, like, I don't need that. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I can have a level of this level of respect for this country without seeing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can appreciate where I am without that. That show. It's a show. You know what I mean? So, and then when you think about Colin, man, there's people that literally would be like, hey, man, Colin should, he should go to prison for treason. You know what I mean? For being a traitor to this country for that, and it's wild to think about, man.
And that's the thing. Listen, folks, if we're going to be honest here, nobody at this table is anti-America, anti-government,
Correct.
None of that, right? I mean, if you think about it, man, we love this country probably more than other people because we still talking about the hope and the wonder of what this country could be.
Right.
Because it could be a beautiful thing.
Right.
If we out here loving people who are Vietnamese, who are Colombian, who are from Ethiopia, all in one beautiful space. That would be an amazing, wonderful thing. And it wouldn't matter if someone was gay. It wouldn't matter how someone identified. It wouldn't matter what pronouns this person decided to choose from. Yeah. It wouldn't matter, but we've got work to do. It's a shame that some people don't want to put in the work and they'd rather destroy, but we are here putting in the work, for it. Now it is a dream, right? Some of us believe in the American dream, what we believe in the Constitution, right? We believe in some of these things that the country says it was for. For me personally, though, and for a lot of people, you got two main issues with this country as it was founded. One, on the enslavement of black folks, and two, on the colonization and imperialism of indigenous people.
Yes.
And all of the other ensuing wars and fights and drama that took place after the fact. Now, last week, I believe it was Cinco de Mayo. Yeah. Somebody asked me, well, hey, what are your thoughts on Cinco de Mayo? And I said, really? What do you want to know? Do you want to know? You want to talk about one of the biggest beer drinking days in America, where people get together and wear sombreros and drink, Crazy. Coronas and eat chips and salsa? Or do you want to talk about how a group of ragtag soldiers in Puebla, Mexico, stormed and banded together to fight off the French in 1862 and fended them off for a little while? Although they came back, the French later came back on the orders of European imperialists to come back and take over land. We're talking wars, man. We're talking wars. And see, this country don't want to talk about that.
No. And I even go deeper. Like, I like to reflect on like enslaved, escaped, black folks, since the beginning would, escape off to Mexico, and they fought side by side. You know what I'm saying? In some of these wars, some of these incursions or whatever we call them. Like, it was like a history. The history is there, man. Even post Civil War, when blacks, in the country were like, all right, cool, y'all, whatever, get out of here. And then people were like, got the fuck out of here, went to Mexico, and then if you look at the makeup of Mexico now, there's all kinds of like pockets where you see settlements that still remain today from the way the people look or in the culture there. Like, so man, it's just been, it's just that's the kind of stuff I reflect on. It's like that. And then when you think about all the wars, if we go back in time, people of color that has fought for this country only just to come back to this country. I think about specific time periods, like when like blood covenants or redlining from housing was like, it's bad now, but back then, like where they had the map, boom, and then like, hey, if these covenants with this, these blood covenants with the city, if you have any ounce of black blood and you can't live in here, but you're like, bro, I just came back from fighting a fucking war. What do you mean? Like, I can't, I want to. So, and then I go into a mode. Then I go into a mode like, well, like fuck their establishment. Like, I equate that to fast forwarding, jumping into time to now. Like when you go to an establishment and they don't want to take your money, or something happens with the owner or management, and then you're a person of color. I'm just like, well, fuck that establishment, man. Yeah. They don't give them no money. Don't just get the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? So it's just wildly. Having these conversations are good, and I'm just like, man, I envision a more just society, but again, I kind of go back to the fact that it's just no money in that. Yeah. And I'm not saying that, when I say that, I want people to understand, I'm not saying that I'm not going to continue just being who I am and just, learning and gaining more knowledge about what's going on and different ways and pillars and structures that we can, or institutions that we can build. I'm not saying it in a non-optimistic light. It's just like, from an elite perspective, like I hear you, but making things better there's no money in that. So. Yeah, man, it's tough. But I still encourage everybody to vote. Like, usually when I go vote, I try to take first time voters with me. I've been voting in like every single election, especially on a local municipal level. since the beginning, like just for eons. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
We got to vote. We got to vote. Voting is non-negotiable in my opinion.
Right.
There's a lot of things that are musts that we must do, and voting is one of them.
Right. And when I tell people in my community, like, hey, let's get ready to go vote with me, or like let's talk about some of the things that's on the ballot or whatever. Sometimes it's like voting to them. They're like, voting doesn't. No, excuse me. I'm not saying. I like to say voting isn't like the only battle in the like war. I mean, for the lack of better terminology, seriously. But I think it's important to do so, especially on a local level. Yeah. Or in a state level as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So switching gears, talk to me about San Pluto.
Yeah, so San Pluto is I'm the co-founder of San Pluto with my business partner Dino. 5 years ago, we had decided we were working out of each other's homes, and we decided to like, hey, let's fuse our studios together. So what we did was, we formed a business together. We formed an agreement together, and then we opened up shop by the airport. We put all of our music studio in there. So we were there for a while. Fast forward to we were rated one of the in customer service and review wise, we were one of the highest rated studios in the city of San Antonio. So fast forward to February of this year, I'm sleeping and I get my phone's going crazy and my alarm went off on my camera system, and I see on my phone like a big red truck. And that truck was a fire truck. So I woke up to our studio on fire. But we were shocked for like 3 hours, and then we were like, man, let's start a video production company. So we didn't stop. We kept moving. And fast forward to now, we've been working with small businesses around the city, providing video production to them, whether it's covering an event they may be having, culture videos, testimonial videos. So basically now we do video production, for small businesses. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun.
Any specific focus?
So I'll tell you what we do. We've been working with restaurants, bars, real estate, different small businesses that may have small staffs, or educational videos, schools, and just entrepreneurs and influencers too. So we're even gonna try to we're gonna try to do like a campaign as well, like somebody that's like legit running for a position. So we've been tasked to do something like that. So yeah, we're excited about that.
So you having some fun though? That seems like what you like to do.
Yeah. I've always been the behind the scenes guy. You know what I mean? Like even in having these conversations, podcasting has been around for a very long time, and video podcasting, but I've always been the behind the scenes guy, talking about stuff like this. So yeah, it's good to have these different platforms now to kind of talk about it, just to offer a different perspective, and either agree to amicably disagree with folks, or just again have another take on it. So
yeah. And I'm more of the in front of the scenes guy. I like being in front of the scenes, in front of the camera. This weekend, in fact, we will be at Taco Fest Music y Mas, where I'll be hosting, emceeing the show. We've got Piñata Protest coming down. We got Fea. We've got Bombasta. We've got El Kinky. I think El Dusty, dare I say, from out of Corpus may be there as well. Find it online. Taco Capital of the World, social media, Taco Capital of the World. Get your tickets. Tickets are on sale. You can still purchase them. Come out. It's going to be hot, folks. So make sure you're fully hydrated. You'll be able to get all the beverages and tacos from multiple vendors in San Antonio. We're going to have some fun. San Antonio is good for some tacos.
Oh, yeah.
What type of tacos you like, man?
Man, so the for one of our homies, he has like a vegan. He started off with like vegan sloppy joes, but now he's doing vegan breakfast tacos. And we did a shoot for him. It was really dope. And he made some like vegan breakfast tacos for us, and it was legit, man. And I enjoy vegan food, but they were good. But so I enjoyed the tacos he made for us, and then Man, I'm gonna just keep it simple, man. Like I'm like a steak and egg taco guy, potato and egg. Like,
Potato and egg. Who can't go wrong?
Right.
Potato and egg.
If we're that's breakfast tacos, right? So steak and egg, or potato and egg. But if we're talking like lunch or something like that, I'm gonna get like some shrimp tacos or something like that.
Yeah, I love me some shrimp tacos.
Nicely seasoned. Like I don't know if anybody's tried. Like I mean, they're not goat level tacos and all like that. But Torchy's Tacos has like a taco that me and my wife really enjoy. It's like the Baja shrimp taco. So, yeah.
Torchy's will be there this weekend, I've heard. I think Torchy's will be there. I think Torchy's will be there. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the full vendor list yet, but I think they've been there in previous years. Yeah. We're going to be at Travis Park, too, by the way, folks. So nice. We've moved around a few years, but we'll be at Travis Park this weekend in downtown San Antonio. Make sure you get there. Shout out to all the vegans, all the conscious eaters, vegetarians, all the people that are making healthy choices, because we can make bad choices with it, too.
Yes.
I try not to eat the barbacoa. It's too much grease for me.
Yes.
But if you like barbacoa tacos, congratulations. Shout out to everybody watching tonight. I've got to give a shout out to My Destiny tonight, wherever you're at. I hope you're enjoying the show. And shout out to Mama Yvette, who is having surgery tonight on her foot. And we got to get that thing healed up. So I hope she's recovering fine and coming out of the surgery bed and doing just well. And we'll be sending her her digital flowers
for sure,
coming out of surgery. Because, like I said, our people got certain things that we've got to be mindful of, certain conditions, right? Whether it be physical, mental, spiritual, and continue to work on ourselves.
Correct.
You seem like a real conscious brother, man.
Yeah.
How did you get so woke?
Well, I have nothing against the word woke at all.
Some people do.
Maybe it's something else. I don't know. Maybe it's another word in the dictionary. But, me personally, so I'm from Bryan, Texas. And of course you experience like things directly associated with race there. And then I abruptly in the 3rd grade moved to a city. So it was like a huge learning lesson. An eye opener as well. Right. 'Cause obviously coming from a small country town, not small, but like medium-sized town to like a city like San Antonio when you're really young. Yeah. To me, it was, of course, I experienced a tremendous amount of bullying growing up. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah. Just because I was like the other, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't the city cool kid. I was not cool at all. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was not cool at all. But to me, that experience was like, always when I was growing up, right? When I was younger, right? Until I got bigger and was playing football and shit. It was I experienced that kind of level of bullying, even though I was the bigger kid. You know what I mean? To me, something was always in my head. Like it was like the conditions, like where they're from in the city. Kind of like I had a good understanding of things like environments, because when I would get in trouble, like I would have to like this may be for a lot of people. I would get in trouble. I would have to read, like legit read, like encyclopedias, and I would start to discover like a love for like archaeology and shit like that. Different races in South America and different groups of indigenous tribes in South America. And where I'm going with it is like, to me, what I learned from learning about these different groups is obviously they were different. I learned it earlier, like they were different because of the environment they were in. You know what I'm saying? Like the things that they had access to. It wasn't a lot of technology, but it was a lot of resources. It was a lot of earth. So the way they looked, the way they dressed, and things of that nature were just different because of that was that. So I had early on equated that to the environments that I was living in San Antonio. Like their actions were because of where they were from. You know what I mean? Not because they necessarily wanted to like straight up like bully me or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, it was so many things and stress levels that everybody was going through. Even I'm understanding that as a kid, like there's stress and trauma involved, because I think of places like people don't really know what like trauma is, but like trauma could be like living in a food desert. You know what I'm saying? Like not having access to like a lot of different things, like, you know what I mean? Like proper breakfast or proper nourishment when you as a kid. I'm talking about as a kid. Like, so these things or going to school, not having zero food in your stomach. You know what I'm saying? The learning process is a lot different, right? So I understood that as a kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So fast forwarding to today, and all the other experiences I experienced, I just started like, I think it's when I got interested in politics when I was like the first time I could vote. Like, and around that time, like my first legit presidential election was like I believe Obama. Like that was my first legit election I experienced. So I went out to all these campaigns when they were running, like when they came to San Antonio, both him and Hillary. Like I went there just to see what it was all about. You know what I'm saying? So then I started learning about political realms, and when I was younger, I wasn't like, now a lot of kids, they may take a deep dive in YouTube and it may just take them everywhere. I really think everybody's life right now.
Yeah.
So I got to like really legit like experience like my thoughts about certain things in the political realm. You know what I mean? So I think the way I am today is just, obviously everybody can say this, but those legit experiences, you know what I'm saying? Of like, from when I was younger, going to these political campaigns and rallies, experiencing it, to the upbringing from like that drastic city change. And also one more other thing that really, I have never said this publicly at all, but it's not nothing bad or anything like that. But like when I was a kid, my mom, I was like, I don't know, second grade, and my mom on TV, she's live on TV, she's protesting like this big ass KKK rally.
Wow.
On TV. It was like one of those things that was here, right? I was just like, wow, because it was so specific, because my mom was wearing this beret. I was like, fuck. Like, she's wearing this like bright, vivid, purple, rubyish color suit that sparkled. So out of everything in that image when I was a kid, she stuck out the most because she was in front of them, like protesting them. So you grow older, but it's something that locks in your head, and then you think about it, it's like, yo, like my mom was like really front in the fucking trenches. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, I never really. And then when you're younger, you really don't like really full blown know the level of nefarious and vile that some of these groups like really reigned in the south of the country, and for decades leading up into to now. But they're just in like higher positions and shit now. So when I unlocked that memory and I thought about it, I was like, wow. It was just one of those things that really translated to me today. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying like I'm not like a GOAT level Black Panther or nothing like that. It was just like one of those things that like, man, she really stood up in front of these dudes, man, like on TV, like a woman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Right, like short, like nuts. You know what I'm saying? Like she was and I was like, well, at least I can do, if I'm not gonna be standing in front of, I don't know, the Oath Keepers or something like that. I'll just be a law-abiding citizen offering alternatives and routes people can different outlooks on things. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, man. So thoughts on the NBA playoffs?
Man. So, I really want to see what I would like to see in the finals right now. If it's not a Texas team like Dallas, of course I want to see Phoenix and the Sixers. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
That was my initial guesses early on for the NBA. But I'm going to be honest with you. Like, it wasn't until the playoffs this year I really started watching, like, basketball again, to be honest with you.
The playoffs this year?
Yeah. Because, like, sports was always, I was always down with sports. There was nothing, I was always a sports guy. I started transitioning, I've always been a football, basketball, and boxing guy.
Okay.
Main. Those are my mains. As I got older, I stayed watching basketball. Then I started transitioning from just mainly boxing, and then I started watching UFC a lot.
Yeah.
Like, those are my two. Like, no matter what, I was gonna watch boxing and UFC. If I missed the football, if I missed a whole season of NFL Didn't phase me. If I
No
missed the
big deal.
whole season of the NBA and the playoffs or the Super Bowl, it didn't phase me at all. But as long as I watched the championship boxing and the UFC fights, it didn't matter to me. And you know, it's wild. I'm gonna go back a week. Going in any direction. For whatever reason, something did change in me after the Collins situation.
Kaepernick.
Yeah, when regarding like sports.
For a lot of people, it did.
You know what I mean? And I was just, I just like, why am I going this crazy rooting for these fucking people anyway? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, God, the Houston Texans was my team.
Mm-hmm.
No matter fucking 0 and whatever, they didn't win a game. I was just like, damn it, the Texans they're gonna be good next year. I swear. I was like I'm almost at the delusional Cowboy fan, but you know, I just kind of fell back from sports. But you know, but seriously though, back to the question. I would like to see the Sixers and the Suns in the final match though. I'm enjoying the aggressiveness of the playoffs. You know, not the crazy fouls, but I'm liking to see the refs, like on some occasions, letting them play. I think that rule that was taken out with when you shoot and you leave your leg out there.
Yeah, you can.
I'm glad that's not a thing anymore. I'm gonna be honest. That leg and you hit the leg and they, you know what I'm saying?
The James Harden.
Basically. I'm glad that's not a thing. So when you see the plays now, you're like, oh, he didn't call it. Like you have to remember. So I'm liking the level of play basically that I'm seeing this year, for real. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I do like the Boston Celtics now.
They're looking good.
Lie.
They fighting.
They're fighting. So I mean, it's a level of excitement that's like, wow, man, this is the playoffs, man. Like it's just a vibe, you know.
It's a vibe. What about who's your top pound for pound UFC fighter?
And no matter what weight class.
Yeah. Who do you like?
Retired too, or
Well, I was gonna say current. Let's talk current.
okay, because I was gonna pick Maximo, Khabib. You know.
Oh, you like Khabib?
I do like Khabib.
Wow.
But I mean, of course, he's retired. So pound for pound right now. Pound for pound right now.
I'm a pound for pound guy.
Wait. I want to get you a good name. Pound for pound right now. That I'm just like, this dude is not losing, right? Kind of.
Yeah. I mean, you can look at it any way you want, you know.
Right.
Just like, who do you like? Who do you think is a dog? Who is your favorite pound for pound guy out there?
Man, I can't say Khabib. So I'm gonna say. Help me out. Who's yours?
So I got two come to mind. I mean, you could say three. Khabib, I never liked Khabib's fighting style. He's a dog. He's a bear. You know, that he actually fight bears. Yeah, roll with bears.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you had to say one top pound for pound guy right now, it's got to be Kamaru Usman. You know, this guy is an animal. I mean, what he did to Jorge Masvidal, he broke Kobe Covington's jaw, knocked him down. I mean, just fought brawling with the dude, and he could fight you any way he really wants.
Punch.
He could fight you any way you want. I mean, you want to go to the ground, you want to slug it out, you want to strike, you want to kick. You know, he can do it. I'm a fan of Izzy. I like Israel Adesanya.
Okay.
You know, his fighting style is more my preference.
Yeah,
he is lanky. He is long. You know, he'll take chances as well. He moved up to 205 and lost. I like guys that take chances and aren't afraid, to put their ego out there and, throw it out the window and fight someone bigger, smaller, whoever, take chances.
Right.
That's one thing you can say for Conor McGregor, too. That dude will fight anybody.
Yeah.
You know, he don't care. I don't personally like Conor.
Right.
The other guy is, look, John Jones is probably the GOAT. John Bones Jones is probably the GOAT. Dude's never lost. I mean, dude is going up to heavyweight. He's cleaned out the light heavyweight division probably 2 times over. He's a freak, man. He's beaten everybody. I mean, he is a freak athlete. I mean, that guy, he parties all night, goes out and fights and beats some of the best in the world. Beat DC twice. Incredible. DC's a legend.
Yeah.
That's who I would say currently. I would say those 3 guys.
Okay, so I'm in agreement with you as far as Usman.
Usman's a dog.
For sure.
Stand up, Nigeria.
Sure. I'm in total agreement with that. As far as my number one.
Pound for pound.
Yeah. yeah. If it wouldn't, if Khabib, see, that's the thing. Like if Khabib would have been, like it was a couple of guys. Even though the UFC being the UFC, I was just like, it's hard for me to see them losing. But again, the UFC is a wild sport. Anything can happen. But it's just something about the complete dominion that this dude would really exude as soon as he got in the ring. Or Khabib, I mean. I'm just like, fuck, man. It's just like...
There's different eras of the UFC as well. You know, like... I think like everyone wanted to see if Khabib would fight George St. Pierre. Well, George St. Pierre is not really a fighter. Like, he's a great athlete. He is good at a lot of things, but he's not like a fighter. You wouldn't say he is like a fighter. A fighter, I'm thinking of someone like...
Ken Shamrock. No,
yeah, maybe a Shamrock.
Shogun Rule.
But I mean, a guy like, Shogun's a fighter. That's all he knows.
Talking about legends and the legacy fighters. Yeah, these guys.
That's all they know. I mean, that's not to say GSP isn't one of the best. He wasn't, he is one of the best of all time. But he was just a great, smart tactician. A athlete.
Yeah.
You see him on his Instagram. He's doing backflips like a gymnast.
Yeah, he's getting that actor money now. Too,
yeah.
And stuff like that. So.
Yeah, and so. I like UFC as well, man. I think, fighting, there's something primal about it and tactically putting things together. You look at Charles Oliveira, who is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner. I mean, an animal. I mean, talking about most submissions in the UFC ever. Dude is a freak.
Choking people the fuck out.
Yeah, he's a beast, man. He's lanky, which gives him, more leverage when you're applying those wraparound, those anacondas, all those chokes. He's a beast, man.
Yeah, he's one of my. He's definitely a favorite of mine. Like when I see him get in a ring, I mean, if you hit him, obviously you hit anybody. But if he doesn't have that, like that, when I think of a Usman level chin, he doesn't have that. But if he gets a hold of you, man, it's just I don't see it stopping. Like the level of like I want to like, it's something in him.
Yeah,
like, a lot of these guys, obviously, but I really enjoy watching Charles's fights for sure.
Best all around athlete. Your favorite. Any sport. Oh. I'm giving you the quiz. See, we didn't practice any of these. We didn't pre-script or rehearse any of these questions. I'm hitting them on the spot. This is a tough question. Best all around athlete. Your favorite.
I mean, I would like to throw out a couple.
Could throw them out.
One of them is definitely. Serena Williams.
Ooh, come on now.
Yeah.
Come on, bring it.
Serena.
Beast.
Just the legacy involved. I'm not, I mean, of course I would throw a sister in there, but I'm just saying like the legacy aspect is just like,
yeah.
Good Lord. Definitely that. And I want to throw somebody in there, man, like somebody that kind of, like an Olympian level style athlete. So I can't think of one off the top of my head, but when I'm thinking Olympian, I want to like when you say all around, I'm thinking like some of these triathletes, you know what I'm saying?
Decathlons.
Yeah, these people that run, bike, hop in the water, come back, do it again. Like I'm over there, right? But
Bruce Jenner was up there.
Right, they can do a ton of different things. But keeping it because I can't name it, I'm definitely gonna say that. I'm gonna say Serena. I want to say just due to both the athleticism and then the business aspect of it all, I want to throw LeBron in there.
Yeah, LeBron's in there. He's got to be in there.
Just because that business acumen. I mean, I could throw Money Mayweather in there too, but. I want to go Serena. I don't want to go Brady right now. I don't want to go Brady right now. But if I'm gonna say Serena, I'm gonna say LeBron for sure.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else you got on the agenda tonight, man? We're getting long. We're getting ready to wrap up in just a bit, man. Any other shout outs? Any other thing you want to mention for the good of the order?
Man, shouts out to everybody out there that's really interested in something other, something like more progressive, a vision that policy wise a lot of people are for, but the way things are lined up is just hard to get there. You know what I'm saying? Shouts out to people that's really having these types of conversations, talking to people that may not agree with them, or being involved with different groups that may be different, but just trying to get another perspective on things, because again, we may not understand it all or know it all, but having the conversation on this level does go a long way, because you can begin to organize, and put things in motion, So shouts out to my family, shouts out to my wife, my two lovely kids, and shouts out to all the endeavors that we may partake in, in this home, So
it's a dope spot.
Dope spot, man.
Lots of plans to come. Shout out to Gylan Jackson, the big homie, founder, creator here. We are wrapping up. Amzi, thank you so much for sharing the mics with me tonight. This won't be the last time. Right. It is the first, though, and so it's always a pleasure to get up here and mix it up. Shout out to everybody watching, sticking with us tonight. We hope you found something you like, and if you didn't, there's still all love anyway. So shout out to everybody living it, striving it, believing it, because this is really a dream, right? To come up here and host, have your own show, do your thing, control the mics, the maestro, and call the shots. Bringing people to the table and speaking some truth to power, which is what we're trying to do here. Right. So shout out to y'all watching tonight. Thank you so much. Catch us next week. Please follow VodPod Media. Subscribe. You're going to see a slew of other shows. This is only one of them on the channel, and we appreciate your support and love. We'll see you at Taco Fest next week, and then we will see you on VodPod as well next week as well. Thank you again. Have a great night.